everybody, my name is Katie. I'm 7 years old. Today I'm gonna tell you about one of my favorite books. It's the book A Bad Spell for the Worst Witch by Jill Murphy. Let's get started. A Bad Spell for the Worst Witch. Well, that's a good start, exclaimed Harvard Mumble as she landed her broom inside the gates of Miss Cackle Academy for Witches. This time she was delighted to lose her reputation as the worst witch in the school. But things don't work out quite so happily. First, Mother learns that her dreaded first form teacher will be taking the class again. And the worst though, her lungs getting filled with alcohol continues to rage on. Margaret goes through a very bad spell indeed. This is the third book, Margaret's Adventures, of which were illustrated with exactly witchy pictures. The highly popular The Worst Witch and The Worst Witch Strikes Again are also published in Puffin. Jill Murphy has always loved writing and drawing and has many self-book published. She has lived and traveled in Africa but now lives in North London. A Bad Spell for the Worst Witch by Jill Murphy. This book is about Mildred, the worst witch in the school. She has a lot of adventures. She spills some water on Miss Hardroom, and she's getting into big trouble. Then she has been in the worst spell ever because Ethel have turned her into a frog. No. Into a frog. She is rescued by her friend and then talked to a frog magician, then rescued by her friend and then be in trouble and her magical magician turned him back into a people or a person. Okay, I'll read you one chapter that I like. Where is it? Chapter 9. A week before Halloween celebration, Miss Hardroom entered the classroom looking grim. "Sit, girls," she says, looking around savvy at the rows of pupils. "I have here a letter from the chief magician, Mr. Hellboy, who presents over the Halloween festivities each year. In this letter, he specially requests that girls is responsible for the other parcel, which should have been our broomstick display last year, are to be kept away from this year's display so that he can relax and enjoy the events taking place." Those two girls were Ethel Hollow and Mildred Humble. It's true that I said I was not actually Mildred's fault for once, because Ethel has cast a spell on the broomstick which Mildred was using, but in view of our little chat this morning, girls, here she darted a glance at Ethel and Mildred, who wiggled uncomfortably in their seat. "I feel this is the most fitting partners for both of you. And you retire the bed as just gonna Eve Fellows, and perhaps you might ponder upon the exact evening you could have enjoyed and resolved that this end ridiculous won't at last." Mildred was very upset at her escalation from one Halloween to several reasons. One was the awful unfairness of all. It really hadn't been her fault that Ethel has cast a bad spell on the broomstick she has led to Mildred, thus has ruined the display. Also, it would be very hard to stay in bed and miss the evening's fun. But worst of all, she would not be able to take her unfortunate friends to be changed back to his normal self. And this was the only night of the whole year when she would be in the presence of a magician. There was only one thing to do. She would have to produce someone to change places with her. And if she didn't work, she would have to kidnap someone and force them to swap places. Even the thought of the plan seemed dreadful to Mildred, who would see her sudden course of action fraught with danger. But there is really no alternative if she was to help the frog magician. Maud and Anne would always be people to ask, but they flatly refused. You must be bornly married, said Maud. H.B. would start us out if we got caught. Anyway, what's it for? I mean, if I was you, I'd just put up and stay in bed. Eddie and I would describe all of it when we come back. Look, Maud, pleaded Margaret. No, it's hard for you to believe me, but that frog in the pond really is a magician. He can only be changed back by another magician. If you don't want to trade places with me, then couldn't you take him yourself and ask the two magicians for help? Please? No fear, said Maud and Ed together. Honestly, said Mill and Ed together. I know it must have been awful when you were turned into the frog, with the narrow squeak and the potion lab and everything. But don't you think perhaps you're getting a little upset with Frog and Pond? Mud and I have seen you. Then they're chatting away to the empty water. Perhaps a nice evening in bed might be good for you after all. Mother stomped away, feeling desperate. If Maud and Anna thought she was mad and wouldn't help her, then no one would. And the only course of action was go ahead with the kidnapping plan. Mother quailed at the prospect. The morning of the celebrations dawned, and the whole day was given over to iron bathrobes, practicing on the broomstick and chatting. Margaret and Al sat miserably at the desk. There's something horrible under my bed, exclaimed Harriet. Will you come and get it out? Something horrible? Repeated Grisella, drawing back in alarm. What would you mean, something horrible? You can't really expect me to go fishing about underneath the bed if I don't even know what I might find under it. Now, can you? It's a beetle, replied Martha tartly. I've got this thing about beetles, a horrid brown one with pincer rands on my pajama leg once, and I've never got over it. Please help me, Grisella. I won't get a week of sleep otherwise. A beetle? Laughed Grisella. Is that all? I thought it must be a tarantula, at least with the fuss you're making. Come on then. While Grisella was half under the bed, feeling about, Mother was very steadily tied her bootlaces together. I can't seem to find anything, said Grisella, laughing and sitting back on her heels. As quick as a flash, Mother pulled out a lasso of rope which she had hidden in a drawer and slipped it over a nursing girl's head and to her shoulders, yanking it tightly to bind her arms to her side. Before the poor victim had the chance to scream, Mother had tied a gag around her mouth As a last resort, Grisel tried to run for it, but of course her bootlaces was tied together, so she fell flat on her back. I'm really ever so sorry to do this to you, apologized Mildred humbly as she tied Grisel's ankles together with her sash. I'll explain everything so you'll let her when I get back. I'm so sorry. I really am. I don't usually go around doing this sort of thing. I hope you don't mind me too dreadfully. Grisel stared up at Mildred from the floor with horror. Corrected the gag. The gag. Mildred pulled over some bedclothes from her bed and covered Grisel tenderly. There really isn't any point in the shouting, said Mildred, putting a pillow underneath the victim's head. No one can hear you. They're all getting ready in the playground. I'll borrow your cat if you don't mind. Mine is awful on a broom, and anyway, it's too easy to recognize. Mildred changed from
review của mình.
Mildred changed from her ordinary school uniform to the best rose which the girls always wore for special occasions. She unplaited her hair and shook it out loose. The whole school, including the teachers, always wore their hair loose when they dressed in their best robes. She put on her cape and turned up the collar and pulled out the hat low over her eyes. Now, in this story, Mildred get turned into a frog like this. See, she after turned her into the frog because she scared her little sister. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye.